Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the incredibly rich history, the frankly challenging geography, and the vibrant culture of Burkina Faso. If you follow West African geopolitics or cultural history, you already know this nation is uniquely complex. We're going to look closely at how a country that is literally landlocked and baked by the Sahelian sun manages to endure, and in so many ways, absolutely thrive. So, the core question driving our exploration today is this. How exactly does a landlocked nation facing intense political storms remain a beacon of cultural unity? It's a massive puzzle, right? As we navigate through the source material, this question is going to set the stage for a story of just incredible human resilience. Keep it in mind, because the big takeaway from this explainer isn't just a list of facts, it's a real understanding of survival and identity. To give us a clear roadmap, we've structured this explainer into 6 sections. We'll hit the heart of West Africa, independence and political shifts, an economy rooted in earth, a mosaic of united cultures, the power of expression, and finally, navigating a fragile future. All right, Section 1, the heart of West Africa, a geographic overview. To really grasp the Burkina Faso experience, we have to start with the soil. Now, there is a super striking contrast at play here. On a macro level, Burkina Faso is completely geographically isolated. It's a landlocked space covering 274,000 square kilometers with absolutely zero seacoast. Yet, on a micro level, the Burkina Faso people are highly mobile. Historical sources show us that they've reputedly traveled to the sea since the 1500s. They've established deep trade connections and family ties in ports as far away as Accra and Abidjan. So geographic isolation, it hasn't stopped them from being incredibly connected. You can see how fragile the environment they navigate every single day really is. In the north, the Sahelian zone gets less than 600 millimeters of rain. That leaves a tiny 3-month window for crops. Moving south, the Sudan-Sahelian zone offers the most reliable rainfall, while the Sudanian zone gets over 900 millimeters, which allows for diversified crops like tubers and sugarcane. This climate dictates exactly where and how the nation grows its food, making them hugely vulnerable to even the smallest climate shifts. But long before modern borders were drawn, this tough environment was managed by some deeply resourceful civilizations. Between 900 and 1500 AD, Berber migrations actually formed the Dauda Empire, bringing ironwork and these vast trade networks. Around the same time, the Mossi Empire emerged, harnessing fertile river basins for huge crops of millet and cotton. Both of these empires established a proud heritage of integration, where mobile populations from the north were seamlessly assimilated through culture, labor, and prestige. Moving right along to Section 2, independence and political shifts, a pendulum of power. We're going to see how that deep history builds into the modern political era, which, to be honest, has been anything but a straight line. Burkina Faso's post-colonial history operates a lot like a pendulum. After gaining independence from France in 1960, the nation experienced rapid, sometimes volatile shifts. There was Captain Thomas Sankara's famous revolutionary coup in 1983, followed by Blaise Compaore's military takeover just 4 years later. Fast forward to the present, we see a foiled coup in 2020, and then the establishment of a transitional government by a military junta in 2022. It's a continuous swing between civilian rule, radical revolutionary models, and transitional military oversight. It's absolutely crucial to observe how these distinct leadership phases have continuously remapped the nation's political landscape. Sankara, for example, introduced incredibly radical grassroots initiatives like mass literacy programs and nationwide vaccination campaigns. But his era also saw severe political paranoia and the subversion of opposition groups. Then, by 2020 and 2022, facing severe security threats from insurgencies, the nation saw renewed military takeovers. Today, a transition legislative assembly is trying to navigate these intense modern realities and eventually restore civilian rule. Which brings us to Section 3, an economy rooted in earth, focusing on the primary sector. Despite all of this political turbulence, the survival of the nation has always depended on one constant, and that's the soil. While the land faces heavy erosion and extreme climate variability, the agrarian system here is a testament to sheer human endurance. Over 80% of the population is engaged in agriculture. It's mostly traditional, rain-fed, and subsistence-oriented. Yet, remarkably, Burkina Faso is the second largest cotton producer in all of Africa. No way, right? Cotton is their main cash crop, accounting for 80% of their agricultural exports. It's an incredible feat of resilience given the environmental odds stacked against them. However, looking at the historical GDP data, we hit a major economic hurdle. Sure, there was a massive peak of 12% growth in 1995 thanks to an infrastructure boom, but the historical averages, like the 1.9% in the 70s or the 3.9% in the 2000s, well, they tell a different story. These rates fall consistently short of the 6% growth that experts say is actually required to cut poverty in half. To put that in perspective, it really highlights just how vulnerable this Earth-rooted economy is to external shocks. Now we reach the pivot point of our narrative in Section 4, a mosaic of united cultures. Let's talk about the people themselves. 60 plus. That massive number represents the distinct ethnic groups coexisting within Burkina Faso's borders. The Mossi are the largest, making up about 50% of the population, followed by others like the Gurunsi, Bobo, and Lobi. Just imagine a vast mosaic of languages and customs packed into a single landlocked state. But what is truly remarkable is the harmony found within this diversity, especially when we look at religion. You have a population that is roughly 60% Muslim, 30% Christian, and about 5% practicing Tengrism or traditional folk religions. Yet, the source material notes that Christians and Muslims routinely join the traditional harvest celebrations of the Tengris. It's a deeply harmonious religious mosaic that actively resists the fractures we so often see elsewhere in the world. And this brilliantly illustrates their ultimate strength. Despite vastly different languages, roots, and religious backgrounds, they consider themselves one identity, Burkinabe. This uniting identity is characterized across the sources by a profound graciousness and hospitality that bridges literally any ethnic divide. It's an active, everyday choice to remain unified. Moving right along into Section 5, the power of expression, looking at arts and activism. This deep cultural unity fuels a fierce and vibrant tradition of artistic and social expression that frankly punches way above its weight class. Check this out. Burkina Faso isn't just surviving, it is creatively thriving on the world stage. It hosts FESPACO, the International Festival of Pan-African Film of Ouagadougou. Happening every 2 years, it's the premier global window for African cinema. It's a massive point of national pride and an essential platform for regional integration, proving for sure that the Burkinabe voice is highly influential in shaping African culture. And you know, that expression isn't just limited to the silver screen, it's deeply political. From the theatrical booms and rapid growth of artists' unions in the 1980s to the incredibly savvy, smartphone-wielding youth activists of 2014 who organized mass silent protests against constitutional changes. Paired with a highly diverse, pluralistic media landscape driven by independent radio, the Burkinabe continually find powerful, innovative ways to make their voices heard and hold power to account. This brings us to our sixth and final section, navigating a fragile future, looking at the mounting pressures. As we look ahead, we have to examine the precarious balance between this rich, expressive heritage and the harsh realities of modern survival. The education system perfectly encapsulates this tension, creating a pretty sharp dichotomy. On one side, you have traditional ethnic education, focused heavily on essential group socialization, ancient knowledge, and customary languages. On the other side, there is the formal education system inherited from colonialism. It utilizes French as the sole official language, aimed at modernization and national unity, but it often heavily favors urban elites over the rural majority. It's a complex tightrope between preserving the past and modernizing for the future. And honestly, that tightrope is swaying due to mounting modern pressures. The sources detail some really severe systemic challenges. Health-wise, extreme poverty contributes to some of the highest maternal and infant mortality rates in the world. Environmentally, an expanding population is draining fragile land resources and overgrazing pastures. And structurally, past adjustment policies have caused many vital village water supplies to simply break down. These factors threaten the very agricultural and cultural foundations we've been exploring today. So I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder. As these modern pressures mount, will Burkina Faso's deep-rooted traditions and famous social harmony be the anchor that secures its fragile future? Or will the sheer weight of geographic and political hurdles force a totally new paradigm? That is the ultimate question for us focused learners seeking to understand the true spirit of Burkina Faso. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the world around you.